7th regular meeting of MSAD52. Brielle, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I would love to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, I have a wooden table. It's plastic.
It reverberates even more.
I know, wooden tables are good. All right. Act on the minutes of the 6th regular meeting. Does anybody notice any errors or omissions? We have had a corrected set go out, correct? I saw something about that. So, let's say, Anthony.
On page 3, the last 2 lines, under the reporting on the voting, we switched to first names. I think the convention.
Oh, that's an oversight, sorry, we'll fix those,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Anything else? All right. We'll move those as accepted with the corrections mentioned. That takes us to report of the board chair. I have nothing this evening, folks, that I can think of. No, not that I can think of. All right, takes us to public comment. Do we have public wishing to comment this evening, folks? All right, so seeing that. Our board meetings are conducted for the purpose of carrying out the official business of our schools. It is important to note that the meetings of the board are open to the public. However, they are not public forums. At each full meeting of the board, time is allocated to provide opportunities for citizens and employees to express opinions and concerns related to the matters under consideration by the board. These comments shall be within the guidelines set forth in board policy BEDH, public participation at board meetings. Copies of the policy are available here and on the district's website. I would like to highlight the following. The chair is responsible for recognizing all speakers. We ask that speakers identify themselves by sharing their names and town of residence. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes to express their views. Speakers should direct all comments to the board, specifically the board chair. This is an opportunity for the board to listen to the opinions of the public that relate to school and education matters. It is not intended to be a conversation or a debate of issues. We know that school-related issues can be emotional, but we ask that civility is maintained. We will not permit profanity, gossip, defamatory comments, shouting at one another, or comments that disparage or attack individuals or groups. The board is faced with many important issues. For the sake of efficiency, the board discourages duplication or repetition of comments. The board will not permit complaints or allegations against staff members. We certainly care about these concerns, but they are personnel matters which the board is not permitted to hear in public. If there are complaints against staff, these will be handled appropriately through our complaint policy, KE. To reiterate, this is just highlighted of key points. Please refer to policy BEDH for a complete description of our public participation policy. And would you like to partake, please?
Crystal Nicholas from Green.
Thank you.
As budget season is soon upon us, I am asking to please use constraint when it comes to the finite financial resources of our families. Folks here in Maine already shoulder perhaps the largest tax burden and have now seen their electricity bills increase by over 1/3 this past year, and this is just to keep the lights on and their heat pumps running. Our townsfolk have seen increases in their property taxes, often more than the rate of inflation, and there is palpable concern of being taxed out of your home that you supposedly owned. I suspect the majority of you here may be more fortunate than most and sport perhaps a 6-figure income, including maybe vacations and ski holidays. Indeed, when discussing a tax increase last year, one member said, "Well, that increase is just like $200, revealing the privilege of that speaker. I have visited many folks in these towns, and being able to afford just to live, the security of your hearth and home intact, is one of the most pressing concerns, surpassing even that of hot political topics. We are told that those who question higher upon higher percentage increases in our tax burden are but naysayers who neither support our children nor our schools, but taxing working families into a bind is a great way to cheat those very families of their valuable time and lives, forcing them to work more or make uncomfortable choices. And in any case, the children of our towns are the real losers. Families are our most important asset to the success of our children, and yet we have seen policy after practice attempt to cut parents out or leave them in the dark. And what better wedge to sever our families than the need to work even more, taxing them out of their children's lives as well. There could be a remedy, however. You who have means and those who speak scathingly of a small group of parents who don't support our schools, put your money where your mouth is this budget cycle. Dig deep and give generously to fund our schools directly. The tax increase is only a few hundred to you, but to a poor family, that is a pair of shoes, cleaner food, time with kids, or just financially treading water. Be merciful this budget season and keep the increase well below 5%, or simply not increase at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak this evening? Please, sir,
Do I need to stand up?
if you don't mind.
Chris Pillsbury, Turner.
Thank you.
I just, trying to reply to the last meeting and some of the comments made there. I understand you guys are in a heck of a pickle right now, trying to get this figured out. And each and every one of you, thank you for sitting here and trying to get this figured out, truly. One of the things I wanted to do is explain my situation a little bit more to you so you understand what happened to me and my family. So sophomore year, Hive Week, my daughter comes home, tells me this story about this young man climbing over the stall while she was changing her pad. When I asked, has this ever happened before, she said yes. On 2 previous occasions, the same young man walked into the restroom, peering through the stalls, trying to figure out who was in there. The full purpose of this was for him and his female colleagues to go into the large stall in the bathroom and vape. The vaping is part of the problem. I know that the high school has got vape detectors in there. They're not working. I can tell you right now, they're not working. The things that happen in that bathroom are what my concern is. What's happening on the sports team, if a girl wants to play football, let her play football, right? We had a girl that joined the wrestling team my senior year of high school. It was weird, not gonna lie to you. The way you have to grab a man when you're wrestling and then you try to grab a woman like that, it made it exceptionally uncomfortable, and several of us quit the wrestling team because of it. What happens in the girls' sports when boys join is far more of a concern to me, simply because the size difference. We're gonna deal with injuries that the girls obviously wouldn't sustain if they were just playing against girls. So when it comes to the sports, I understand the Title IX. If we don't have a boys and girls sports separated by that, then there's gonna have to be some accommodations. Don't know how you're gonna do it. That is a completely separate issue than what's happening in the restrooms. So I would hope that you guys would continue to look at what is going on and not exclude that from your policy.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to speak this evening? Please.
Jimmy Childs, Leeds. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. You can research the word liberty. You find all kinds of definitions and things to that. One is freedom from arbitrary and despotic conduct. It's very arbitrary to let young kids with an undeveloped frontal lobe even pretend that they could be something that they never, ever, ever will be. You dig up the bones from a male and a female, 10,000 years from now, it's going to have the same genealogy as XXXY. Like I've said before, these are kids. I don't care what an adult does. They want to say they identify however they want. That's their freedom of choice. But these are children, and I feel awfully bad for these children that are confused like that. But I feel more mad about the adults in the situation that just think that this is okay to lie to these kids. We're lying to the kids. It makes an unsafe environment for everybody else. Use the restroom that you want. Oh, identify, I get to do this. Since when is it somebody who just wants to identify and feel like, oh, I'm a girl, I'm a boy, that their rights overpower my daughter's rights, my mom's rights, aunt's rights? Them rights don't overpower that. I know it's something in the Maine Human Rights Act that if that does conflict with another person's rights, like a woman, then it's null and void. So in my eyes, it's null and void. Identity, it says identify. Well, I identify as a male. She identifies as a female. That's your identity. You can't discriminate against that. It doesn't mean I get just to pick and choose wherever I want. You have to accept it. So I understand, it's a hard thing for all you guys. It's a hard thing for us to deal with it. I know that there's educators in this system that, and I advocate for all the educators. I don't have anything against any of you guys. If people have things against me only because I feel this way, well, that's your problem, because that don't make me a bad person, right? I know that there's educators in this system that feel the same way I do, especially when it comes to this, that, maybe voted for Anthony, but would never admit it, there's just people out there. So, I feel for what you guys are going through. It's a hard thing to go through, but the whole world's dealing with the same thing. Let adults be adults, let them choose what they want, but just leave the kids the heck alone, just, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else this evening? All right, not seeing that. Thank you all. That takes us to communications, and I just have it. The chair does have communications. I have two to announce. One, an acknowledgement of a donation from the American Legion Memorial Post 111 in Turner in the amount of $200 to be shared between Turner Elementary, Primary, and Tripp Middle School for the school's food pantries. We have another donation from the Hannaford Health Schools. Is that their monthly thing? What they do every month at the schools, do we know?
I don't know
Is this
how
rotation
often.
thing?
I don't know how often.
Well,
we
it's a
send it out.
rotation, yeah. Anyways, from Hannaford Supermarkets, the amount of $2,380. Again, this is for Tripp Middle School's food pantry. So the food pantry's got a boost. All right, that takes us to the superintendent. Do we have communications?
So we have a resignation, Tiffany McKenna Savage, Ed Tech 2 at the middle school, effective November 21st. We have transfer Susan Turner, who's an ed tech in special education ed tech at Turner Elementary, is moving into a regular education interventionist position at Turner Elementary. And then new hires, Savannah Spellman, custodian evening at Leeds Central School, which is awesome. We've been without a evening custodian at Leeds, so we're excited. And then two new subs, one at the middle school and one between the elementary schools and primary school.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions on superintendent's communications? Not seeing any, thank you. It takes us to the adjustments to the agenda. We don't have any additions, and we will notice we have an addition on this agenda from a previous agenda for 8.5 under the consent agenda. So if everybody got that in their email today, if not, there is an addition of 8.5 on our agenda. We also have a subtraction of 10.7 and 10.8, which we will not need that executive session this evening.
We do need to add two reports, however.
Oh,
We missed
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Is it right
Student-
there?
Oh, sorry, so student report
Yeah,
and assistant
associate.
superintendent report.
Yeah. So that takes us to committee reports. Finance committee.
We did meet today. We looked at, Gabby presented us with the workers' comp audit, which the district got a $15,000 refund, which, if I understand it correctly, was mostly due to it's based on the budgeted salaries, and because the district came in under budget for unfilled positions, some of that was refunded. We also looked at the unaudited, unallocated fund balance, which is sitting roughly at 1.7 million, which admin will work on, or probably already has worked on, a 3-year plan to bring that down, what that will look like. And then we approved, you'll see on the consent agenda this evening, the addition of one nurse for a new student with an IEP. This is a student that is new to the district, and we'll be requiring that. So that's just the approval to get that job posted and added to for special ed. And then we were presented with an additional stipend for the boys basketball team at the middle school, because there were so many kids trying out this year. They wanted to add another team, an expansion team. There were some questions that Carrie was gonna look into if we get back to us on in terms of transportation, what other teams that they would be playing, and if there were any other costs associated with that. And then looking at the loss ratio for the health insurance for the year, Gabby's is anticipating a decent increase on that for the budget, this upcoming budget, because the premiums are already overspent for the fiscal year that's not finished yet. So we'll see a good, possibly 15% increase, you're thinking? Maybe, hopefully not, to that for the upcoming budget.
And then we circled back to the E-rate project that you've touched on a couple times. That is, we got a grant for that to replace the wireless access in the district, which will be drawing down over 3 years for that. So we'll be requesting to take a little over 24,000 out of the reserve to fund that.
And we'll put that on the next agenda.
And then they have started, Gabby and her team have started training for the new ERP system, which she said is gonna take them about 52 days worth of training to do starting the new year. So we'll wish them luck with that.
Super exciting.
And that's what we had.
I think you are, aren't you?
Sure, Peter, this is my excited phase.
You should be. Ashley, thank you very much, Ashley. Does anybody, that was quite a workload they accomplished this morning. Does anybody have any questions for them? We have one of those items coming before us this evening under the consent agenda, so this would be a good time to ask about it. Bree?
Yeah, I mean, unless there's gonna be further information given to us about the one-on-one nurse.
In my
You're gonna be
report, I'll
sharing
provide a
more,
little bit more. Well, I mean, there's not gonna be a ton, but I will.
I mean, this is,
It'll be in my
my
report.
question is, so we need to post this position. The child is not coming with, and does this nurse stay with the child like all day long, or?
Typically, when we have, so I'll speak in typical hypothetical.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
Yeah,
just trying to
so
understand.
It's pretty
like, this is a
unusual
new
for a
role.
student to need
Yeah,
a one-on-one nursing. Typically, a student who requires that has pretty significant health issues.
so again, like they do tend to kind of stay more closely.
Yes,
to
it
the
would not be an
kiddo, so
additional
not just
nurse in
sitting
a
in a
building.
nurse's- yeah,
They would
okay.
be assigned to that student,
Yeah.
transportation, like all of that. Yeah.
Do they have to have a different job description?
No.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you again, Ashley. All right, it takes us to PTB. Alex was not here. Who's stepping up? Kyle.
We did not meet.
Yes.
So
So
Broke a sweat.
ready.
No, get your pen ready. Our next meeting is December 4th.
Are you gonna meet? Are you gonna slap?
All night long.
All night long.
All night.
Good.
All right, thank you, Kyle. And policy, which Crystal.
Yes.
Right there.
We met this evening. Carrie, do you also want me to touch on negotiations? Or are you gonna touch on it?
I was gonna mention it and then say the next time we'll have somebody appointed within the group to
Oh, the
be-
guys told me that that was gonna be me.
Oh, okay,
so-
thanks
but-
for letting me know. So we were also gonna add that on the
Yeah.
agenda as a regular
Okay.
committee reporting,
Perfect.
so that'll start next
Okay,
time.
all right, then I will just talk about policy. We met this evening, and we reviewed use of school facilities, which is KF, and then the subsequent regulations that go with it. There were some discrepancies between ours and MSMA, so we kind of melded them together, and deleted some stuff, and there was multiple regulations and different pieces, so we put them all into one, because this is going to be something that people from the community would use and look at, so just to make everything like one-stop shopping, so that they can find all of the information that is pertinent to them using our spaces. So that is in there. We will be bringing that for a first reading at the December 4th meeting in the consent agenda. So that, and we have one revision that we were gonna just change, and that'll come out with the next, what am I trying to say, backup information. And then we reviewed ECB, which was pest management, and it was just a review, there was no changes, and Dave Coburn was there to review that with us as well. At our 12/18 meeting, so next month, we're going to review the bus routes. It's still a thing, it kind of got kicked back to policy to review anybody on, like, a satellite, if you will, of any daycares or anything of that nature, so we're gonna review that. And we're also gonna review ILD. Anthony had brought that to my attention in end of September. And so that will also be on the 18th, which is, he's bringing forward asking if we can opt into surveys versus an opt-out for parents and students. And then we also have special credits, which Teresa's gonna review with Mr. Shaw, and also the wellness policy, we're gonna review at some point. That might get put into January or February, depending on what else we have going on. And we have a special meeting
I
on
was gonna
Monday.
say yes.
And we have a special meeting on Monday at 4:30 at central office, regarding AC/DC. I'm actually going to see AC/DC in July. I just really want everybody to know that.
The real AC/DC.
If we keep saying it, so I'm actually gonna go. So,
Where is this?
in Charlotte,
Yeah, I
North
see.
Carolina.
William.
You can go down and see some friends.
Sorry, I just have a question for my notes.
Yeah.
What was the policy after the bus route one? Bus route?
ILD,
Okay,
and it's about our surveys that
okay,
students take.
thank you.
Did, part of this meeting tonight was to review the one that we had the community concern about. Did we address that at all?
The
In re-
school facilities.
Yeah, the school
Yes, so currently, we do not have enough staffing on Sundays to be able to keep any of our facilities open. So that doesn't mean that it couldn't change. If somebody is like, I want to work Sundays as a custodian for the district, like, that person is probably a unicorn, and we would love to find them, and that would be wonderful, so that we could have open gyms or whatever somebody wanted to come in and use our facilities for. But currently, we don't have enough staff to do that.
And that's the main holdup for this
Yes,
particular
for anybody to
situation.
be able to come in
Yep.
on the weekends through one of the athletic departments to use it, so.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Crystal?
Can I just add something?
Absolutely.
So the position of a custodian to cover on the 7th day has been advertised for 3 years now?
It's remained unfilled and
Unfilled.
advertised for 3 years, at least, since I've been here. Yes.
And just as another note, I was on the board when this was originally took effect years ago. And it used to be permitted that the sports teams who used our facilities could have a responsible adult. And it was actually at this school that the responsible adults weren't responsible, and it cost us a lot of money in between insurances and everything. It went downhill. So it used to be that way, and that's what a lot of people wish we could go back to, but unfortunately, it was a big discussion and a real hard hit for us back then too, to not have, but we had coverage right when we first started.
So there's no way we can go back to that?
We can talk about it at some point, but policy committees, between insurances and everything, it's very rough. It's-
I just happened to be on both policy committee and PTV. I think it was a sentiment of both of those subcommittees that we wanted to have district staff present for any type of event. But and I think it's important that the policy doesn't exclude Sundays, doesn't exclude, like, it just means we have to have staff present. And someday, if we could get
Right now.
enough
And that's
staff,
paid
that could
staff,
change.
not volunteer staff?
Correct, our paid district staff.
so- We've actually had some long discussions about this.
Actually, I want to ask one more, because this is my first time.
Normally it's not normally it's up to me actually, so I'm gonna permit you.
Who do we talk to about policy change? Or bring that to?
You're doing it.
Right.
And it got brought forward to the policy committee and we've reevaluated it. And unfortunately, yeah, it can come up again, probably be a year or so at this point, because we just reviewed the policy before we could probably get it back on the schedule again. But that would be a major, significant change in how we operate. And it all has to do with insurance and liability, which became a major issue here. A couple bad actors ruined it for everybody, basically.
Did you say actors or apples?
Actors.
Dare, it should have been apples, Peter.
There's no such thing as a bad apple.
Fighting words.
Not Not at the orchard, sorry. He
All right.
turns those bad apples into cider.
No, we use pristine apples for cider. There are no bad apples, come on. All right, that takes us to curriculum, which I believe, Bree, you're gonna have a report in the near future.
I know, it's exciting that we're gonna get back on the calendar. So again, we have not met, but we now have Teresa back, so that means that we can have a curriculum committee meeting. So we will be back working, December 4th.
There you go. And that is the first meeting. All right, that takes us to our student reports. Gentlemen, you're up. And he has notes.
Power of technology.
Mhm.
So the craft fair was last week. Students of help in Key Club and JMG volunteered to help run the events. And from the information we got from the Key Club teacher, 15 members of Key Club signed up to help for it. Also, Key Club is currently collecting money to feed families for Thanksgiving. They're doing a donation of food. And it's like students. The fall dance is this Friday from 6:30?
6:30 and 9.
6:30 to 9. 280 tickets were bought. And it's expected to be very busy. And there's a football, I think it was I heard it was the regionals game for the football team in high school.
Semifinals, I think.
Semifinals, yeah. Yeah, that's all.
Ricky?
That's all I had.
I wrote
You guys
that.
left it work, oh, okay, okay. And you let him deliver it? Oh, you guys are good, you got a gig going on, nice work.
I'm just gonna piggyback that on a second, because I forgot all about it. When you mentioned the fall dance reminded me, I have some people that I work with who are really pushing for a homecoming dance again, in addition to the fall dance. Which I realize our fall dance is in lieu of our homecoming dance, I believe.
Yeah, it's after.
Yeah, but I've heard rumors that there's some real push for that.
Students
That's what I told them.
do their thing.
Yeah. Told them they just got to corner the principal. Move on. All right, that takes us to, Shannon, right? Yeah. Oh, so do we have somebody replacing or no?
I can answer questions about
Okay.
it.
Principal Batosh is out. Does anybody, we do have the report in the packet. Does anybody have any questions on it? If not, we'll move to Principal Gannon.
Does the NWEAs only show growth, or does it also show the number of students that are finishing that grade?
So the school level data can do both. She's providing you with growth, but I can ask her to provide the achievement if you want.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Any other questions? All right. Takes us to Principal Gammon.
I'm excited to be back. So,
Yay!
that's the big news at Turner Primary School, that I'm back. So I would like to publicly thank Carrie and Teresa. Teresa took over for me, kept the school running wonderfully, did some great things when I was out. Carrie was very supportive of my health first. Very concerned that I was healthy to come back, and kept track of my progress through the whole thing. So I really appreciate that, the personal sentiments and also the professional pieces of that. I've been very busy. I'm still working on a part-time basis so I can continue with my cardio rehab. Hope that will be done Thanksgiving, so I'll be back full-time, which I'm very excited about. I am catching up on all things school, everything, all at once. So I'm very busy. Evaluations are underway, doing observations, learning about budget for the first time, super exciting. Getting to know kids that haven't been there before. We are working on our intervention system and getting that up and running, testing data, anything that you can think of that as a school I am diving into. This week And next week, we are really focusing on student-led conferences, which are Wednesday of next week. Teachers are getting ready. I was doing an observation today, and kids in kindergarten are practicing reading, so they can share that with their parents, which is super exciting in the third month of school that they're already reading books. So they're getting ready for that. We're also getting ready for remote days in case we need them. I know it's hard to believe now, but that's what we're getting ready for. So lots going on. We have at student-led conferences, our wonderful guidance, or our school counselor is doing a Stuff the Bus event. TES did one, I think, for their open house. We're gonna do one. She is advertising, and all the food from that will go to a backpack program. We've recently had UPS and FedEx delivering a lot of packages for our backpack program. Boxes and boxes are coming in. So we're super excited that we're gonna have all this in stock to send home with our kids. So,
Thank you very much and welcome back.
thank you.
Does
Very
anybody
excited
have-
to be here.
It looks right,
Oh,
so
that's
Ashley then Crystal.
On the chart, it has some of the same behaviors duplicated, but there's a letter M in front of it.
So that means it's minor. So it's a minor, there's minor contact. So we have a chart through PBIS that distinguishes between behaviors. So if a fist fight may be major contact, I don't think it says major, but has contact or physical aggression, or a minor contact, it may be if they were playing tag and they slapped each other harder than they should have. So that, yeah, if it's a lowercase m, it means minor, and lots of times those are handled by staff. The staff can reteach and provide consequences, where physical aggression lots of times goes to the dean of students or myself. Good question, because we had to think about that too when we first started looking at those charts.
Crystal?
No, my question was about what PAGG was, but then I realized physical aggression. So,
Physical
thank you.
aggression, yes.
You know, just, I don't know if you do this intentionally or not, but just open my eyes to a whole new data set that we can start looking at here, which is the subcategorized referrals. But is that, I mean, it looks like physical aggression, defiance are the big ones. Is that normal? Like, is that, and then is that like across schools typical, or? Like,
I don't know about across
no
schools. I
idea.
know year to year that does be a trend. We focus on that. And the reason I put that in there is so you know what behaviors we're seeing and what we're really focusing on. And we try lots of different strategies, reward systems for kids, the reteaching, revising how we do recess. We have sections where kids can do certain things. We provide more toys, so they're busy. So those tend to be trends more in the classroom, which kind of makes sense because that's where they are most of the time. Playground is also unstructured, and so that tends to get a lot more referrals done out there as well. But that shows you where we're focusing our efforts on with students and reteaching behaviors and working with parents to curb those.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything? Again, welcome back and thank you. And that takes us to Director Drysdale.
All right, so the information that I have provided for you this evening is the October 1st child count information along with the staffing count that we also report at the same time in October. So I will point out that on the first box, as you can see, we have 6 3-year-olds. Those are the first 6 3-year-olds that we have had counted. That is we count that under a separate report straight to the DOE. The 4-year-olds through the 22-year-olds are counted as well. So the 430 that you see for 25-26, that is including our 16 4-year-olds. So if you're going from year to year, as Carrie will probably explain in her presentation tonight, we actually actually are going from 429 students to 414 students. So the work that we're maybe starting to attribute that to the work we're doing with inclusion, our curriculum pieces, and really starting to, as Elena pointed out, really starting to focus on our interventions, so that maybe over time we will have fewer students receiving special education services. That may happen. The next, yeah, wishful thing?
No, not at
It's
all.
not
I'm supportive of that.
wishful, no.
Absolutely not.
Okay, it's like, oh,
No.
Okay. The next piece is also looking at the staff for what we have for teachers or students, sorry, in each of the schools, and then the count we have for special education teachers and ed techs. We do not have any ones at this point, so those aren't on the list. I will point out that we have one contracted ed tech in green through the Margaret Murphy program that I didn't put on the back for resource. I had forgotten that, but just wanted to let you know as we're looking at that. Green has the most students between Green Central School Leads and Turner Primary, and the fewest special education staff. So that might be something that we'll be looking at in budget season coming up. I think it's important to have that data so that you could see where the impact is. Although all of the staff is based on individual students, much like when we were talking about adding the nursing position for specific students. You have your district-wide employees and along with contracted staff on the back. And then the increase for LRE, the last time I had presented, talking about where our goal district-wide is that 80% of students with disabilities are spending 80% of their time in the general education setting. And so we're slowly eking towards that goal. At this point, we're around 50, or a little over 50%. But you can see that the trend is we are going towards 80% or more, and we have fewer students at the 40 to 0%.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Director Droste? Not seeing it? Thank you very much. Now we have another new returning guest. It's been a while. Welcome back, Assistant Superintendent report.
Thank you. So I wanted to highlight two areas. Bree mentioned curriculum, and as Carrie had shared, the curriculum work was paused, but we now have 2 dates. We're getting the ELA group back together again. We worked 2 dates during the summer. And so between now and the middle of January, we will have 2 full work days. So hopefully we will be able to push to finalize that and then bring that to the curriculum committee before coming to the full board for approval. And we are starting the science curriculum writing committee, and I think I already have 5 volunteers for that. So an email went out this morning asking, which is the process that I do, asking for volunteers, teachers who teach science. We're going to begin that work in January. And for professional development, I wanted to highlight, as you know, we have a new math program this year for students in grades 3 through 8. It is illustrative math. And this past Monday, the K-8 instructional coaches and then 1 teacher of math per school participated in a virtual training. But because it was a small group of us, there were just 11 of us, the focus was on strategic lesson planning, which is very different in this program. And we're going to continue to meet with this group. We had half of our day was spent with a trainer who was super knowledgeable, helped us. And then the other half of the day, we were able to do some planning and application of our new learning. So this group will meet again in December for another 3-day training on another component of the program, and we're going to hope to continue to build capacity in this manner, so it's not just a small group that are, like, it's not just the instructional coaches, or it's not just the focus on one school. And I don't have any grant updates. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you very much. Somebody have any questions for Teresa? Not seeing any. And as well, welcome back. And that takes us to Superintendent Ed's report.
Yes. So I will report on the boys basketball expansion team at the middle school. We are going to implement that. We will pay for that with the set aside money we have for additional programs that's in the budget already, so we don't need to purchase that. We had 54, and I'll ask Jana to sort of chime in. We had 54 boys try out for basketball. The 7th grade is so large that there's just sort of beyond sort of the ease with which students are cut, and sort of like, you know, how many is sort of feels okay to have that volume of students not be able to play. It leaves about 35 or 36 kids. There are multiple teams that have expansion teams within our league, and most of the games will happen along with games that are already happening, so the travel will be included in that. There may be a handful where the travel is additional. There's not a TAA program for 7th and 8th graders right now, so there's not another place for those kids to play. So that's why when Jana brought it to me, I approved it. They did run an expansion program last year for a team, but they did it within the coaches that they already had. And I think the numbers are just more significant than what they could get away with last year. I've told Jana to put that in the budget. If it looks like that's going to be a consistent need, then that will be something we can debate in the budget process, whether or not we permanently add that. So that is that. Negotiations team met. We spent the first hour sort of like doing a training with Tom Trenholm, who's going to be supporting us through that process. The second half, we sort of did a review of the contract and developed a list of issues that we want to discuss. The association will do the same. Our first meeting is next Tuesday, where we'll share our issues and sort of each get a chance to talk about why it's something we want to negotiate. We've got 3 meetings set up before the winter break, and then we'll have to schedule more. We also have prep meetings scheduled in between, so it's a lot, but I have confidence in the team. I was able to go to the career fair that was at the high school on Friday. JMG with their teacher Angela Korchesny organized that. They had local employers, the towns were represented, EMT with Turner Fire, and then most of the UMaine colleges, community colleges, and Maine Maritime were also there. The wastewater treatment plant is super exciting. We had our sort of like preliminary startup meeting. So like training is getting scheduled with Aquapoint, which is our vendor for the actual system. And that training will happen with our staff, the staff that we contract with to assist with the regular testing. And that's all gonna happen probably in December, like between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yeah, like it's getting real. There was a whole, at some point somebody said, we'll flick the switch, and at that point it'll be a point of no return. And I was just like, oh Lord. So yeah, so the switch is gonna happen. It's real, it's for real. And then the old one will be taken down and destroyed.
Do you get to flip the switch?
We have not discussed that.
I think that's
We've
important.
not discussed that.
I don't know that you can have a ribbon.
I don't think there's an actual.
Well, in my mind, I have
There
had
has to
some
be a
thought.
switch or a valve or something has to
Stuff.
happen. There's gotta be a valve or something.
Have somebody build something.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think the point of no return is the repiping
Yeah, I know.
itself.
But you
Oh yeah,
you still have
no,
to
where
flip
it
a
flows
valve.
is the point of no return, where you go
I
click
just
and it
think that
doesn't
there
go
ought
in
to
that
be the
thing.
press and carry and the valve
I
and the whole
haven't
9
think
yards.
about, I haven't
I'll
think
video
about
it,
that,
no
honestly.
problem.
It has been in my mind. We don't have a date yet, so I will do something. I will let you know.
Make it ceremonious.
Exactly.
Well, no promises. I would like to under-promise and over-deliver.
There you go.
And then the consent agenda, we have 2 items. So again, we have a student with needs. So we're adding a nurse position. At this point, we're looking at a half a year. The cost is about $48,000. However, we may find ourselves contracting for that position. It really just depends on what that looks like. And then you see an update of substitute rates. These are increased as a result of the change in the minimum wage. I think that's all I got.
Does anybody have any other questions? Jenny?
Can you just send us out an email when you get it? But I was curious to know how many girls got cut from the 7th
Jana, do you
grade
have
team.
that number right off the top
I
of
know
your
like
mouth?
26 girls tried out, I think, is what I'd heard.
Yes, and so there were 26 girls. The 7th grade basketball team took slightly over what we would take. The 7th grade boys had 31 tryout. The 8th grade boys had an equal amount. And so the expansion team will be a combination of 7th and 8th grade boys. We didn't have the same numbers for 7th grade girls who were interested in the expansion team, but we might moving forward.
So how many were cut in the girls' tryouts?
So I'd have to go back and check, but I think I'll follow up with that when I do my.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for Karen? This is also the time to ask any questions regarding the consent agenda. Anthony?
The nurse, you said 48,000?
That's a half, like typically we would budget a full year with the salary would be about 57,000 plus we would budget for insurance. So I think typically when we put a position in the budget, it's like 75,000 or 77,000.
It was, I think it's 83,000.
Yeah, you said a number that was higher this morning,
Yes,
but yeah.
I did.
So, but they're starting late, so it's not a full amount.
And that's coming from which?
Yep,
fund?
so it would be, there's lines for each building in special ed, so it would be it would be coming out of that building's special education lines. And if we decide that we need to use reserve account money to pay for that, because we have $200,000 in a special ed reserve account for just these purposes, we'll make that decision as we review the budget, and that may be something that comes before you later.
Thank you.
I don't think we're prepared to ask for that yet, because
No,
we
it's
just,
too
if we
early.
don't need it, then we're not gonna, we'll be able to hold on to it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any other questions? No, not seeing any. That takes us to the consent agenda. The 8.1 through 8.5 will be acted upon collectively unless somebody wishes to pull one out. Does anybody wishing to pull anything between 8.1 and 8.5 out to be discussed later in the evening? Not seeing none, we'll act on the consent agenda as a whole. The consent agenda items are acted upon collectively unless the board member blah, blah, blah. 8.1, consideration and approval of Finance Committee recommended September operating and expenditure reports. 8.2, consideration and approval of Finance Committee recommended update substitute daily rates effective January 1st, 2026. 8.3, consideration of Policy Committee recommended second reading and approval of revised policy JKAA, use of physical restraint and seclusion, and regulations JKAA-R, procedures on physical restraint and seclusion. 8.4, consideration of Policy Committee recommended second reading and approval of revised policy IHBAC, child fine policy, and the added one this evening, or earlier today, 8.5, consideration and approval of the Finance Committee recommended addition of a nurse position to meet the IEP requirements of a student. I have a motion by Anthony, do I have a second by Crystal? All those in favor? It looks unanimous. All those opposed? Those abstained, and we're moving on to old business, which as the majority of the time is, nothing in it. So it takes us to new business, to the young man in our audience. Presentation by Tripp Middle School Student Project. Welcome.
I'm going to go ahead and introduce them because Andrew is actually no longer at the middle school with us, but I've been fortunate enough to know the Sutton family for going on 5 years now. Some of you may have remembered their older brother Jacoby, who did a presentation, I think 3 years ago possibly, for an Eagle Scout project. He built tables that were donated to the school, and we did a tour. And so Andrew is with us tonight. Andrew, I did bring in a visual representation behind if you want to show the board as well. But I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Bates. Hi, as Ms. Bates said, my name is Andrew Sutton. I am a Life Scout at Troop 111 in Auburn, Maine. I recently built sport benches for Troop as an Eagle Project. The purpose of an Eagle Project is to demonstrate leadership by planning, developing, fundraising, and leading a service project that benefits the community. The reason I built benches at Troop was that When I was on the soccer team, one thing kept happening. Whether we were at practice, game, or just a fun event, there wasn't enough room on the benches for the full soccer team to sit. When I started thinking about a project possibility, this was the first thing that came to mind. After planning and building with 6 scouts and 5 adults, I made 8 benches, 4 went to trip sports field and 4 went to the primary school for the other trip sports that play at that field.
Oops.
I'm pointing down.
These are the benches.
Yeah. So there's 4 at the primary school that have a little bit different legs because they're pressure treated. But yeah, we have seen them with quite a few football players on them. I know they work.
They can hold up.
Yeah, they can.
They look very nice. Very well done.
Very nice. Is that your ski rack as well?
No, that's that one over there.
Gotcha.
Oh, we have 2?
Tegan is not on the agenda, but
Oh, okay.
I just maybe put her on the spot for a second because we were also fortunate enough to receive a donation that she helped with.
Welcome. Please stand.
Just tell them about your project.
I kind of did like what Andrew said, but mine was for Levitt and Chip for the Nordic ski teams. So I made one for the Main Outdoor Wellness Center, which Levitt practices at, one for the ski shed at Levitt, and one for here. I don't really know.
No, very nice.
Yeah, we made them because like a lot of people just threw their skis and then they got all mixed up, so now they can stand them up and they won't be muddy.
Was this part of a project as well, or just?
Yeah, it was for my project.
Yeah. Well, congratulations and thank you. They look very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent
Kyle?
detailing too.
You guys have names on this plaques or plates?
Did you engrave your name on it?
No. Actually, I wrote my name on the bottom of one. Which one? I don't know.
No, they're usually pretty humble, but some pretty amazing donations that have, the tables, like I said, we're going to year 3 and they're still going strong. So the sports benches have been huge. Like Andrew was saying, we have them here on our football/soccer field, and there was actually enough for the opposing teams to use as well. And then the additional ones we put down at the primary school for the field hockey and lacrosse use. And the Nordic ski rack was an added bonus that I was not expecting, but that was also gifted to us. And again, that one is mobile, and so we'll be able to take it outside when the Nordic ski team starts up for them to store their skis on. So pretty awesome community support from the Sutton family, so thank you guys very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much. You else have any questions for them? All right. That takes us to, still standing, Principal Mates.
Well, I'm gonna try and get the TV.
Oh, technology.
Any more brothers and sisters? Do
We're 3 for 3.
Yes, Brunswick. That's unfortunate. That is 3 Eagle Scout projects were done.
If Gabby closes her ears for a second, I'll tell you, there's a really good screen down at the next. It's really nice down there.
Is it?
Yeah.
I used it earlier, I tested it.
Yeah, it's just.
You're talking about like the election day coverage screen?
Well, yeah, there's a really nice screen down there. She doesn't like it when I bring it up to the other principals because they all start wanting it. What was surprised me though is it sat there and nobody uses it.
I had nothing to do with that. I have no idea.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, why not?
I'm looking for some clarification on the backpack food program. So, I'll be taking the leadership position of the Legion next year. So the $200 donation was pushed by me, and I'd like to do more. I just don't know
Probably to get a much more detailed, I suspect, would you want to talk to the principal or to the central office for more information on the backpack food program?
The buildings, talk
Yeah.
to the building that you're interested in working
each
with.
building
Each
is-
building runs their own, yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
talk to the
yeah.
principals.
Okay, we're getting there. I'm not sure what happened with Janet's computer. I can run it up.
Every time. Every time.
If you get the really, ask Gabby for one of the really good ones. Then we'll
What's
cut it
with
out,
you?
we'll cut it out of the budget.
My God, I got the
throwing
same
you right under
message.
buses.
I got the same message. Oh, no, I got it now. It came back. Oh, you might have it open somewhere else.
So like
I'm not gonna say I'm the.
I think you have it open
But they can
somewhere
delete
else.
that.
You have another tab with
You're
Biddy,
probably-
that's what happened, because
Oh, yeah.
I just figured that out.
They don't need it.
Okay, so,
Yeah, you guys will have to turn around, sorry.
Oh, here we go.
is that mine or yours, Carrie?
This is the one you shared with me.
No, sorry.
Who's running
Our
it?
tax-
Who's running it?
Oh, it's on my computer.
Yes.
So you're just gonna tell me.
I didn't know if mine just came up. but it's
No,
not.
no,
Okay.
I was like, I don't know, Jesus, when you gave me, is there a secret one I don't know about?
Okay.
And I apologize, I should have reminded you, Janet, of print copies, my bad, so
No,
you'll
that's
get,
okay.
we'll email you something. So you just tell me when to press the button.
Okay, if it's okay, I'm gonna answer Jenny's question first, because I pulled the numbers on that. And so 7th grade girls for basketball had 10 students that were cut.
Thank you.
8th grade had 2 girls that were cut. 7th grade boys had 14 that were cut. 8th grade boys had 11. So the girls program had 12 students total, and the boys program had 25 students total.
Now, is that before the new team is
Before the
formed?
This is before the expansion.
So there would be significantly less, to almost no cuts in the boys?
No, that's not, so the expansion team would run 12 boys, and so there would still be
Be
about
like 10 or
13 boys that would not be. The cuts happened, there was,
No, I understand.
yeah, the first round and the second round, so it would be offered to 12 students who would possibly be considered for a team, had not that many tried out. Okay, so this is, I'm Janet Mates, principal at the middle school. This is my 5th year here. Carrie, if you want to go ahead and hit the next slide. And so for demographics, our enrollment is at 323. As we talked about, we have an influx in 7th graders. We're at 173 for 7th grade. Similar to the number that we sent up to the high school for their current 9th graders. 150 in 8th grade. 19.3 of our students receive special education services. 11% of our students are currently on a 504, and 31.4 are coded as economically disadvantaged. Attendance, proud to report that our attendance is sitting at 96% right now since the start of the year. We shifted this year to our crew model, so it's sort of like an extended homeroom, and that is from 7:40 to 8 each day. We were a little bit worried moving it to the first period that kids would not have buy-in, and it would almost look like a reason to get here a little bit later, with first period not starting until 8 o'clock, and it's been sort of the opposite of what we were worried about, and so just proves the data behind the relationship building and the structure that a lot of our kiddos need. On Monday, the advisors, there's 12 to 13 students in each crew. They check in and they front load the week. And we basically just, I send a memo to teachers on Sunday nights, and then the team leaders make that sort of student-centered. And so kids know what to expect for the whole week. If Wednesday's an early release day, if we're doing the NWA testing, if there's like the basketball tryouts, all those things are front-loaded. We also put those announcements on the front board. Middle school students in their executive functioning, they need to hear it lots and lots, and then they'll still have questions, but it helps for them to know what the week is gonna look like. Tuesday, we've dedicated mostly to working on student portfolios. So during the student-led conferences that are coming up next week, the students have been building their own student portfolios, which will showcase and highlight work that they're proud of in each of the content areas. Wednesday, we do not have crew due to the early dismissal. We've left the instructional time the same, so we've taken crew out. Thursday, we usually do like a crew challenge, which is, again, a fun relationship building thing, or a celebration. It's when we do our team celebrations, student of the month. And then Friday is when it's by every other week it offsets. Students either do a grade check, they check grades, and then they fill out a Google form and email their parents so that their parents are hearing from them their grades, which has been a pretty powerful shift in practice as far as one, the communication home, but also two, like the student accountability. And then on the off weeks, they do a habit of character check, which is based more on behavior, and that's a time where they can earn a Tiger Pass, which just gives them additional privileges and freedom in the building because they've earned it. Good. We have 3 goals here at the middle school. The first goal is to have every student at Trip involved in at least one sport or extracurricular activity. And so, again, proud to share that November, and 80% of our students are currently participating in at least one activity or sport. 169 students participated in a fall sport here. 92 students are currently participating in a trimester or year-long extracurricular activity, and I'll talk a little bit more about those in a minute. And the winter season just got underway. Basketball just started, as we talked about, and then Nordic typically starts up after Thanksgiving, but is obviously dependent on stuff. How are we doing this? How are we getting the 80%? And so we have the typical after-school sports along with robotics and a partnership with the high school for drama. But we've also built a lot of enrichments into the day, allowing students who wouldn't have the time or the means to stay after school, the ability to have access to those. And so we have a flex schedule, and it's a half an hour that happens after the lunch block, so sort of in the middle of the day. And this is an example schedule of what flex would look like. And so we have a white day, green day schedule here. And so on Monday, students have the choice of band, D&D, which is Dungeons and Dragons Club. We run Unified Champions here, so Unified Track and Field happens on Mondays. We recently started a Passion Project Club. It's like a STEM club that happens out of our makerspace where students can pick things that they're passionate about, and it's almost like an independent study project. And that's led by 2 of our science teachers. And Poetry Club. And then an off example might be like a Thursday where we have Recycling Club. We also have Unified Bocce. We have a Drawing Club that is an option, and that's run by the middle school GT teacher. We also offer chorus. Student leadership meets on Tuesday. Student leadership is 1 student from each of our advisories. So there's 24 students, allowing each advisory to have a student representing them and build more student voice within the building. All set. Our second goal over the next year, instructional staff will continue to unpack the curriculum. When we say curriculum, we mean like the standards, the resources the teachers are using, methods, and assessments, and create common formative and summative assessments while working toward calibrating scoring criteria. So for the last 2 years, we've been working on these common assessments and unpacking the curriculum. As Teresa mentioned, we do have the new math curriculum, so the math team has been heavily focused on that. But this year we moved into the next step, which is calibrating some of the scoring criteria. So staff are taking these assessments and they're looking at how they're scoring them and creating rubrics, shared rubrics, so that all of the teachers are assessing students in a common way. And then when they meet, especially on some of the early release Wednesdays, they're looking at these assessments and how students are doing, and then talking about their teaching practices. For example, if in one science classroom, students are scoring significantly better on their, the most recent assessment. What was that, compared to another science class, what was that teacher doing as far as like instructional practices? And then sharing those ideas to ideally lift more students to be proficient. These were a couple of the common assessments that we currently have going on. Our ELA department does 100-word memoirs, and the science department does a small research project on cells and creates 2 and 3D cellular model projects. And as I mentioned, our content teams meet. I can see it on my screen from there. Our content teams meet twice a month on early release Wednesdays. During this time, they're reviewing the standards, they're sharing ideas, and so we have 2-3 years ago restructured the leadership team here at the middle school. So we have our team leaders that represent like the Bengal team, the Siberian team, and they take care of all things sort of like school related. But then we have a leader for each content. So there's a science content leader, ELA content leader, math content leader, and they work with our instructional coach and our special education building coordinator. They create agendas for those early release Wednesdays, and then they meet as content teams. And then on some of the workshop days, it goes vertical, and they also meet with some of the elementary and high school staff. And our third goal supports the district goal around inclusion. And so our instructional staff, with the support of the instructional coach and the building level special education coordinator and the colleagues, will intentionally plan for all students when designing inclusive, formative, and summative assessments. And the goal for this year is to differentiate either the process in how it's being delivered. We're working on differentiating the reading levels to make it accessible for all students, or the method of how students are demonstrating their learning. So allowing more project-based learning, student presentations versus more typical sort of research paper. And so we do have a lot of student work already up on display, and so part of our goal is next week when we have the student-led conferences, we're also going to do a student work showcase. So when families are coming in for their conferences, they can also tour the building and see examples of the work that's going on in the building. Some of the professional development that we're doing to support this falls around understanding accommodations that students have in their IEPs, making sure that not only special education teachers understand the accommodations, but that our general ed teachers and our ed techs also understand the accommodations. We have a co-teaching model for math, so continued professional development around that. We also are fortunate enough to have a lot of ed techs that push into some of our classes, doing some professional development. Whenever you have sort of 2 adults in a classroom, it's always a dance, right? Like who's taking the lead? What are the responsibilities of one teacher versus the ed tech? And that's something we're just constantly talking about and making sure that everybody understands their role so they can best support the kids in the classroom. And then the last piece was teachers had asked for more professional development around trauma-informed instruction. And so our social worker, Kara Bryant, has been doing some professional development with staff around trauma-informed instruction at a really basic level, but just how does trauma present for students, and then just some general approaches and interventions to support students. She focuses on teaching them some breathing exercises, supporting students to take a break and to go for a walk, who are adults in the building that are safe for them to check in on. And then the last thing, I mentioned it a couple times throughout the presentation, but this year we were fortunate enough to convert one of our smaller classrooms into what we call a makerspace. And it is basically a space for teachers to be able to sign out for students to work on projects, either projects that they're doing as part of the class curriculum, or by student choice, like the passion projects that I was talking about. The really cool thing is it's grant funded, and/or funded by our recycling club. And so the recycling club is collecting bottles and then using the money that they're getting from the bottles to buy the supplies that they want. So it's pretty cool to have the kids take part in making that sustainable. And that is across the hall. If people are interested in small motor break and seeing that space. That's it for my presentation.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Anthony?
Is the makerspace primarily things like 3D printing and things like that? Is it hand tools?
Yes, so we don't have we applied for the 3D printers for that space. We don't have them yet, but we do have 3 3D printers in the computer class. In the current makerspace, it's more hand tools that are in there.
So what kind of stuff that would go into making those?
Yes. Not so much at the shop level, only because that has to be a certified, for the middle school level, has to be a certified teacher running some of those, but smaller level
Hand
projects.
tools, not power tools.
Yes, yes.
Janet, you and I talked about the professional development you're able to provide for your ed techs during the early release. Will you just share that a little bit?
Yeah, so when our teams are meeting for their larger bar meetings that I've talked about in some of my reports, our instructional coach and the special ed building coordinator are meeting with our ed techs and leading professional development, most specifically around the special ed accommodations. And so we pulled some data, and students coming to the middle school came with, when we banked them all together, represented 150 different accommodations that were listed in the IEPs of the kiddos. And so understandably, for anyone to be able to understand what those, because one day you might be working with one group of kids and the next day you might be working with another group. And so we really went through and we were just having the ed techs look through the accommodations, see if they understood them. They ranked them on their level of understanding, and then we then took that data to drive the next set of professional development. Like what were the accommodations that were the most common here in the building? What were the ones that were the most misunderstood or that our ed techs needed additional training on? And so we've been using that to sort of drive the professional development for the extra hour that we have the ed techs, which has been incredible because in the past we have not had ed techs for professional development because contractually they leave when the students leave. So that's made a huge difference in the building.
Any other questions? Anthony?
When did you said there was a change for the students to be communicating their grades to their own parents. When did that change happen? Is that this year?
We started last year.
Okay.
Last year it came from like a generic email, and so we tweaked, well, it came from like, what we found is a lot of parents weren't opening it because it just said like, I don't know, TMS something, and now it literally says like TMS grade check with the student's name on it, and then front-loaded with parents to watch for it bi-weekly, so we're getting better at helping parents to understand what to look for.
Have you had parent feedback on that? Or student feedback on how that's working?
I think the parent feedback is sort of them not being blindsided when progress reports and report cards come out. It's also increased communication because part of that form, they list not only their grade, but any missing assignments, which is really helpful because then it's sort of like the student knows what they're missing and their grade is, the parent knows what they're missing and their grade is, the advisor knows what they're missing and their grade is, and obviously the teacher of record does. And so by those four sort of people knowing, we've been able to do a better job at getting that student caught up when they need to be.
Great.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great idea.
Okay.
Bree?
But correct me if I'm wrong, Jenna, my junior, when he was a student here 4 years ago, 4 years for 7th grade, I was getting those emails. So just to clarify.
Yeah. So
I
maybe
was
3
getting
years?
like the grade check. Maybe it came from a different email, so it said something different, but I did get them back then as well.
So we'll.
Yeah, it might have come through.
Yeah, we used to get them
But this one specifically that you're talking about, that Google form where the student is able to say, here are my grades and here's my goal.
Okay, I think yes,
Yeah.
so Google Classroom sends like a weekly one, even at the high school now, but it doesn't specifically have the grades on it.
But the one where they, where the students are able to say, these are my goals.
Yes, the
You
student is
mentioned how
going
they
into
fill
Power
in a-
School, and
fill
they're
in a
actually
Google
plugging
form.
it into the Google form. So you're right, it might have been,
Yeah.
it might have been three years ago that we started it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're looking at colleges.
Feel like I might have been clarified just now, but I was just wondering, like, if it's any different than what parents can already see in Power School? Is this just a student physically, like intentionally emailing it to their parents?
Yes, and so if a parent does not know how to get into Power School or has not taken the time to get into Power School, they could look at the email and get a quick snapshot of where their student is. Yeah.
So this is gonna lead to me then. Where are we at incorporating your incoming sixth grade class? This is kind of a cross, and this has always been a concern of mine, that, but it's unfortunately falls to you, but also it has to do with the three principals as well. And I sometimes get concerned that it gets dropped a little bit since it involves all four of you.
Right.
Because I feel that the sixth grade class ought to be meeting each other right now.
Yeah.
They ought to be meeting each other monthly in some form or fashion. And so I'm just curious what you have for plans. I think most of your plans for inclusion and getting them together come much later in the year.
Yeah, we really start being involved in, I would say, end of April, beginning of May is when the middle school really starts with like the invitations for both having students come here and staff from our school going to visit at the elementary levels.
So I don't know, I guess, how do we incorporate, I really have concerns that I'd love to see the sixth grade classes incorporate more. But we're dealing with three different principals there. And it shouldn't fall to Jana, but she receives all six, all three. So I don't know where to address,
My instinct is to always be clear on what problem we think we're trying to solve. So I think that, you know what I mean?
No, and I know, and I'm going back by, we're taking three different schools of kids that have grown up, socialized just them, and forcing them in that first 6 months of seventh grade, here you are. Going back, what's unfortunately decades now for my time, it was an issue. And maybe it's no longer an issue. Maybe they all conjoined really well and everybody's happy and content. But it was an issue. Especially, and I hate to say it, but especially for the smaller school of Leeds, because Leeds was a little more, together, and all of a sudden they're thrown into Turner.
Yeah.
And I know I've said it before, and our only interaction was one dodgeball tournament, which we had each town against each other, which really didn't help the situation.
We've improved our.
I know, but that's what we did.
I was gonna say, we could bring back polo polo.
But that's what we did.
That's really dark.
We did dodgeball, and we were just like, it was green against Turner. It's like,
That's
how is
dark.
that interacting?
That is dark.
But anyways, so,
We've improved.
I know. So I'm looking, I know that you do some stuff coming, bringing them up, letting them meet the school.
Yeah.
But I guess this is a bigger conversation maybe to have with admin overall, and I'm gonna start pushing it to all the elementary school principals. What are you doing for the sixth grade? And it doesn't have to be all three schools at once. But if there's a field trip, for example, which I realize are less and less nowadays, why aren't both sixth grades, why aren't Green and Leeds going together on a field trip? Why aren't, Turner and Leeds going together on a field trip? Intermix those sixth graders, so when they arrive here, they already have friends, they already have establishments. Yes, I've been told they have friends through sports, but we try to get it, but not everybody plays sports. So, that's, I know I mentioned I was gonna ask you about this, but I've thought about it more, and you're really the receiver. I guess it's the elementary principals that I really wanna start addressing. What are they doing, and why aren't we doing something? They might be, but why are we doing something now?
So I don't know, so I think that I gotta ask the question.
Yeah, so that's,
So I
you know,
write it down.
and just simple thing, anytime a sixth grade class does something, think about it, can we incorporate the other sixth grade school? You know, it might cost some busing, which I understand nowadays is very simple for us. So, you know, that's getting well under control, so. But, so anyways,
Yeah.
I had some questions for you, but as I've thought about it more,
You're
you're the receiver of it, so I wanna try to make the mix that you get a happier mix, or more content.
So I'll just say, presuming they're unhappy, we don't actually know that. So again, it's making sure that we understand if there's an issue with that transition, where is it best met? So it really, we need to understand how are they mixing already and what does that already look like in terms of that transition? So we can identify, because I don't wanna just do activities
Oh, yeah.
because we're just
Well,
making
I'm
stuff up.
moving so you can't kick me, but they're
I'm not
they're middle school kids, they're unhappy.
So that sort of goes against your point. They're very
attendance.
happy. I come over here, they're
It's not that bad.
they're all excited.
Just in line with like what Peter is saying, because like the kids coming from Leeds, the sixth grade class is 21 kids.
Yeah.
So they are inevitably going to
Yeah.
get, you know, really potentially spread out. And I think that it would be lovely if they were able to, I know that we probably can't do teams any earlier than the end of the year, in advisories, excuse me, where you place them, but it almost would be like really nice, because if, you know, I know my own kiddo, she plays sports and has met kids in Green and Turner, but if she ends up in an advisory that she has no Leeds kids and doesn't know any of these other kids, that'll be interesting for them to do.
Yeah, I can say, I mean, we spend probably up to 3 months working on our draft.
Yes.
Of where kids are gonna be placed, and there's a lot of intentionality, and we try to always make sure that kiddos have at least one preferred peer, and that we honor the avoids that also come with a preferred peer. But I do agree, I mean, if we had capacity, we're already bigger than we have been for many years here. If we had capacity to bring the sixth graders more, the few times that we do bring them up, it's usually in coordination with the high school. So like our eighth graders are going up to do events at the high school, therefore freeing up staff to receive the sixth grade students here. So it would have to be something that we work with the elementary on, but to Carrie's point, discussing it more with the other administrations and maybe starting with things like a field trip or something like that.
Because to me, it's not so much, as I said, it's not so much from building to building. Because especially the Turner kids are used to that, jump from building to building. It's just meeting the other kids that you're gonna be with for the rest of your school career, so. All right, anybody else have any questions? Going on my little tirade. Seeing none, thank you very much. All right, that takes us to Superintendent Med. Presentation of our October 1st student count. How
So I'll
many do
put
we
this
have?
on the TV, but I also given you a copy, and it's black and white. There's not
So
a
it's very
color
clear.
on it. Shades of gray, but I'll just put it up there so that, you know, people who don't have a copy in front of them.
It'd be nice if it was color.
I divided it in half, so more may have gone over that way, and we need to bring them back. You only need one piece of paper. If you've taken more than one. Do we need more this way?
Yeah.
Kyle, do you have any extra, Kyle? Send them back. Send them back for your friends on the other side. You could. I'll let you do it. Okay, so just for information's sake, some of this may be a reminder, some of this may be new. The October 1 count is the most important collection of data that we do because it directly relates to the subsidy that we get from the state. So what I have here in front of you is the screenshot of what's in the NEO, is the system that we enter this data into. And that is, when I certified that report, that's what the report looked like. Now, there may be 1 or 2 numbers that shift as the state, because the state is receiving all the schools, and they may find some tweaks, but not likely. It takes the full 2 months to do, because we may have students who have moved to another district, but the state doesn't have that, right? So the state still thinks they go to school here, So we have to work with the state and that other school to correct that and get them into the proper place. So the most important number is, and it's probably easier if I point. Most important number is the count subsidy. So sometimes there's a difference between the counts attending and a count subsidy. So we may have a student who, and Rebecca, correct me if I'm wrong, but we may have a student here who is being paid for by another entity. So they were not going to get subsidy for them. So it could be a special ed thing. There's very small, like this year it matches 100%. I think last year was about 4 kids different. That the number for attending and subsidy were different. Any kids who's here on a superintendent's agreement, we get subsidy for, so it's not superintendent agreement. So it may be some random, rare occasion. Socioeconomic status number, that's sort of the next most important number. 2 years ago, when I first got here, we had a crisis. We lost a ton of subsidy. We sort of corrected that. It's not awesome this year. What you will see is the number here, and then this is last year's to give you a difference. So if I go down the column that is subsidy, last year's count was 2009. This year we're at 223. Last year we're 2009, so we're 14 students above, and it gives you a percentage. When we look at counts economic status, so that is socioeconomic disadvantage. Last year we had 668 kids. This year we have, wait. 7.
The top is this year.
Say that again?
Isn't the top this year?
Yeah, but it looked, yeah, so last year we had 754, so we're down 86.
There we go.
So I will just say, that's bad. That's bad. However, Monday before this report was due, we were down 121. Jason and I did, Jason Breton is our database manager, we did one more sort of blast to every parent who had not completed the alternate economic form or was not already designated as economically disadvantaged because they had SNAP benefits or main care. So like the state gives us that list, those kids they're direct served. So we get those numbers from the state, we already know them. So it was all the other families that weren't in those 2 categories, we sent one last blast and we picked up 33. But it is lower than last year, and that's not good because we get additional subsidy for every student who is listed as socioeconomically disadvantaged. So we're up on the total number, that's good, but there's a big difference between 14 and 86. So we did a lot of communication. I'm not sure if that means we actually have fewer people who are economically disadvantaged, fewer people filled the form out, like we can make a bunch of guesses on that. I suspect it is not fewer people are economically disadvantaged. And then you can see the numbers for each group. We get a small amount of increased subsidy at our pre-K level. Everybody else, there's the high school has a different subsidy amount versus elementary, middle school. So all of these numbers will feed into that. So I also just sort of crunched some numbers so you could have some historical context. You saw this a couple weeks ago. That is the October count going back to 2017. This is the highest it's been since 2020. We're at 2023. The next highest since 2017 was 2013 and 2021. In 2020, sorry. So we have officially recovered and gone beyond that COVID slip that pretty much every school district encountered with families removing their children from school, homeschooling, things like that. So we are back up there and have exceeded where we were then. And then the other thing is I just put together numbers going back to 2021 to see the trend of our students who have an IEP and our socioeconomic. So the socioeconomic, this was the big drop off during COVID, which made things difficult. So we've been slowly growing and now it's that dip. And then our IEP numbers have gone up, but as Rebecca noted, the number that we have, so if you look at the economic status, the October 1 count, we're reporting that we have, where's the number? 430 students with an IEP. We've been tracking that number for a while, and so now the number's changed. It's based on including the 4-year-olds. Plus 2 years ago, we started providing services to students who are 22. So it went from kindergarten to age 21, and now it's pre-K to age 22. So that pool is different than it had been. So even though it's one more student with an IEP in this count than last year, when we actually look at that K to 12, it's actually 16 fewer. So in terms of us being able to manage our understanding of the population that we actually have fewer from in that K to 12 range.
Is
So,
this out of 100?
yes, yes. And they're percents. So the October, the enrollment is just the raw number, and then this is the percent. Yes, I had the data team meeting this morning, and they spent a lot of time talking about my lack of really labeling things accurately for people to understand. So clearly, I did not take their feedback very well. But it is on my list of things to improve. I'm like, well, I said it out loud. I knew what I meant it. So this is sort of like part of the build up to the budget work we've been doing, right? So we did the 5 years. Now the October 1 count is like a big number. That is a very important thing. We actually, I will say, the DOE, they do a really nice job of following up. Gabby got an email saying like, are you guys sure you didn't make an error? You're 11% down in socioeconomic. I'm like, yeah, make me cry. We did not have an error. We had fewer people participated, fewer people filled out the form, or we have fewer people who qualified.
I hope we have fewer people who qualify.
That would be great.
But I suspect you're right.
Yeah, it'd be great if that was the answer. And I say this all the time, right? We don't want lots of people qualifying, but if they do, we want to count them.
Yeah.
So, but that's self-reporting
Yep.
data. Surely the state knows how many people live in a particular town who are economically disadvantaged. They should be able to come up with, they have actuaries, they should be able to come up with some formula that says, yeah, this many students qualify. We're just going to apply that number and use it across
So
the
there's been a
state.
lot of discussion about that, because typically this number historically has come from the students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. But when the forms went away, because that was self-reporting as well, right? Like literally, that was self-reporting. People would get the salary chart, they would say how many children they have, that would be families filling out and self-reporting. So most of the guesswork is coming out of it because it is state data, that is the main care and SNAP benefits. So when we know, the state gives us those names, we know which kids have main care. The data is confidential, like a teacher can't see who qualifies, right? Like I can't really even see it unless I'm directly with Dave Roberts. It's very tightly held. So it populates from the state, so we get that number. It's the rest of the people who still qualified but don't have those benefits. And that's the group we try and capture with the economic disadvantage form, alternate economic form, which the state created to try to resolve this problem. Where the state, we know there's people out there who qualify by income, but they're not receiving main care and they're not receiving SNAP benefits. I don't know why, right? And so how do you capture that group of people to make sure that you can get the maximum amount of subsidy? So if there's other ways to do that, then this part of the issue is that we can't play too fast and loose with that because the federal guidelines are what determine free and reduced lunch. Those are federal guidelines, so we can't reinvent that calculation and apply it to that because it's not our calculation. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. There's lots of conversation about like, well, when it comes to how much a town should be able to pay for its education, right? That mandatory requirement, should that be based on ability to pay, and then how do you determine ability to pay, and all those things. So those are all the questions that people are asking.
Anybody else have any questions about our October 1st enrollment? I'm not seeing any, but thank you. And no thank you at the same time.
I think I'm gonna have to excuse myself.
Well, he gets nervous when it's silent.
Yes, yeah, but,
You made it pretty far.
They
You
made
did
it
a
pretty
good
far,
job.
yeah, I think I'm gonna go. But thank you.
I was very comfortable and enjoying it, then all of a sudden I got silent, I got nervous.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.
All right, see you later.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, happy Thanksgiving. These special, this pile.
What's that? Oh, the extras?
Those are extras, I
I'll
wasn't
take
sure if
them.
it's just.
I'll take them
this
because we
list.
need to put them in the official record.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. That takes us to, so we're all set with that questions, and the administrator's favorite calendar of the year, the budget timeline.
So we've talked about this a lot. I'm just giving you the official copy. It's been revised based on the feedback we did last spring, where if we do the budget workshops in one location, so we can really make sure that the sound is appropriate, that, you know, the setup works, that we're not trying to be in a tiny room when it should be bigger and all that stuff. So administrative team has already met. Gabby and I sort of rolled out the budget process. They got all their documents, as you heard Elaine say, they've gotten all their documents to begin that process. The very first thing they will be doing is verifying their staff, and that is every staff member, making sure we actually haven't got any extra people in there, and making sure the number of hours they're working, if they're hourly, so that the budget numbers that Gabby puts together are accurate. Those are all going to be due before December. We spent a lot of time in January, February working on this, meeting, doing all that. That whole time, Gabby and I will be updating you on where things are. But we can't do too much as a team without our subsidy, and that will come towards the end of January typically. So until we get that number, I mean, Gabby and I always assume it's a bloodbath, but until we get that number, we don't know how bad. So really starting much sooner than that is not productive. So we'll do our workshop, start at 5 o'clock, March 5th at the high school. We have a board meeting in between, so this is not a board meeting that night, it's just a workshop. We'll do a board meeting again. Last year, because we had some snow, we ended up doing a bunch of workshops in between, but we always have that opportunity if we want to do that. Our second budget workshop will be back at the high school on March 19th. Regular board meeting again if we need to. The deadline we have set ourselves for the board to approve a budget is April 9th. And that typically is sort of like, we don't have a lot of time after that, because if we're going to get communication out to the community, the budget book, all those things. Doing it earlier makes no sense because we will not have our insurance numbers. Insurance numbers typically come, the end of March is when we will get what's the worst it could be, what's the best it could be. We get the range. And then about a week later, we get the actual number. Yep. Sorry, Peter. Call people.
Just if this is gonna be official, we need to change the dates on April 9th in the description there, because it says 2024.
Oh, yeah, yep.
And then May 8th and May 22nd apparently will be actually May 7th and May 21st.
Thank you.
We're just going to try it again. We're going to step back
Just
here
go
and try
back.
it again.
Go back I don't wanna go back a year.
All right, I fixed it right now. Live as we speak. It's been corrected and we'll put it back out.
Sorry,
That's
that's
okay.
bad.
Happens all the time.
Any other questions? William.
0% is required, or is that?
You can decide.
Okay.
We serve food because it usually takes like 3 hours. If food attracts you, there will be food there, but it is 3 hours. And it is each department, either director or principal. So like when we do the first one on March 5th, regular instruction will be every single principal presenting their budget. Special education will be Mrs. Drysdale doing that. Other instruction tends to be the technology, no. Is that athletics?
Yes.
Yeah. Student and staff support will be technology, some of Teresa's budget. System admin is us, and school administration is the principal. So it's, yeah.
Can we go line by line?
We do, we go line by line. Why is there a $300 increase in
You'll get a budget book,
dues
it'll
and
be fun.
fees? Yeah, the
Alright.
budget book, you'll get
Rate-
all the
rate your
info.
I'll be at
coffee,
the, I'll be at the high
protein
school,
bars.
so I might as well just.
Just
go
Settle
mosey
in
on
for a
down.
long meeting.
Mosey on down. So this is the timeline if this works for you guys.
Push this away.
Can
Gabby has a question or
Oh.
comment.
So I also missed that we're gonna be adopting a final proposed FY26 budget. We've already done that. We're gonna go to 27 now.
You just looked at the dates on the left and not at the
That's
content.
exactly what I did.
Yeah, no, I hear
Sorry.
ya. I fixed it.
Three?
Any chance
No.
that we might be able to get our budget books in digital format to save on paper? For those who would like to have digital instead of a binder.
But
Since everything is already digital, then you just go and print it.
but then you're going to have a computer sitting in front of you.
Yep,
You also have.
yeah.
Well, you have a lot better eyes than I
We
do.
talked about it at the end of the budget season last year, that potentially for those who feel comfortable with the technology, to be able to
Scares me.
view it. I know, so that's an option, Peter. Those of you that want to cut down trees and make those ginormous heavy binders, you still can. But for those who would prefer to not use up paper, which was a lot of money on our budget line last year, could we have that as an option? And I don't know if that's something that, we had talked a little bit last year as well. We can bring this back to Wally. He could provide those devices if you would prefer that we're using extra school laptops versus our own personal devices for this. I'm just throwing it out there. Do not need an answer tonight, but I'd like to see that as an option for those of us who would like to not carry around a heavy binder, and especially since we come back in other weeks with changes and updates, and that's more paper that we're adding to the binders just to be able to show changes and updates with. You do it all digitally, we can also review it digitally. Okay, that's all, thank you.
If you would like, I mean, I know boards that do this, I know
No, I'm
boards
well
that
aware.
don't use paper,
I still have faith in our forest industry. Somebody has to support them. No, I do not have
But
any.
how about our budget lines?
We can start arguing about that.
That's not gonna be enough.
If you would like
No, I
me to
know,
look
but-
into it, I
No, no.
will, but.
It's
And I'll
every
just say, my whole issue against it was the whole idea of, I sit here many an evening watching us get our technology operating, working, making sure everybody's laptops or whatever the hell we're using is charged, make sure then all of a sudden it's not working, you can't see it, we're gonna have to have a spare. Technology is great, but sometimes it doesn't always work like we think it should. I have no problem. You know, I have no problem, and I'll talk to Carrie about it, and we'll see. One of my first concerns is I wanna make sure that sometimes going both avenues can be confusing. So sometimes it's easier to have all one or all the other. But one of the things is, I wanna make sure, and I think last year it was, our budget is available online anyways. So every change is made online anyways. So I think technically if a person wants to bring a computer here, we have no standing policy or anything like that, says you can't have a computer sitting in front of you right now. And you looking at, you could be looking at this right now on your computer if you wish.
Absolutely.
So
But
you could be doing
common
that.
practice has been, no technology, so.
Yeah, so, but, so that's I've had a
Are you
tablet once
giving
in a while.
us that permission, Peter?
Well, I think, I don't know. I guess we never really talked about it.
So we've got time.
Yeah, we got time, it can be it's a general communication issue. If everybody wants to go paperless, that's fine. So what do we think about it a little bit? And we'll actually bring it as an agenda item for us to discuss briefly if we want to be at old school or
Or the
modern,
option.
or have an option.
Yep.
But I do want to make sure and talk to Gabby and Carrie to make sure that trying to make sure both at the same time isn't going to be too much of a headache during the busy budget season.
Would it be helpful to know what everybody thinks, or no?
No, we're going to have a full,
Okay,
we're going to put it on as an agenda item to actually talk about.
got it, I've got a note right there.
I've seen head nods and shakes both ways already, so. And I'm just kind of being stubborn for the fun of being stubborn too.
And
Do
because
you?
it was me that was that.
No, it has nothing to do with you. Now, if it was Jenny, I'd have let it happen immediately.
So we do need to approve this timeline, we do need to approve this timeline,
We discussed it.
Oh, it is?
discussion and approval.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it is.
I missed that word approval there. So, do we have a motion to approve the
I make a
timeline with
motion
the,
to accept the timeline.
with the corrected
changes.
dates?
I have,
Yes.
Okay, we
I
have
have one more
Jenny.
question.
Kyle.
Well, but we started talking about
You
paper.
can-
I'm giving you a hard time,
You can
Carl,
do
of course.
discussion after the motion.
Yeah, of course. Jenny was Crystal was the second.
Okay.
Go for it, Kyle.
Tri-Town meeting.
Yeah, oh, thank you. The Tri-Town meeting is this Thursday, next Thursday, the 20th. And I have asked for people to let me know if they're able to come. I have heard from a couple of you, so thank you. There'll be lasagna. So the Tri-Town Select Board meeting, so that the three select boards meet, so it's not a regular meeting. And the school board members join, and it gives us an opportunity to share information. and improved communication. It's been a very positive experience in my mind going. Last
It's in
year,
Turner this year, right?
it's in Turner this year. The last one we did was in
Green.
Green, and then last fall, this time was Leeds, I think. So let me know if you're able to come, just so that I can give them a number.
Alright. So right now we have a motion to accept the timeline for the budget. We get the motion in a second. You all set over there? Teresa? We get
Like I never was not here.
it. All right. So, anybody further
Ride the
discussion
bike.
on the timeline? All those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstain? That takes us to, I guess that's it. Request for an executive session.
Make a motion to move into executive session.
Second.
Okay, we're gonna accept the motion in a second after I read it.
Oh, sorry.
I'm looking for request for an executive session to discuss the Tri-Town Education Association Teachers, TTEA, negotiations pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 405-6D. We have a
Reed
Bree
motion,
and
Jenny
Jenny.
second, okay?
Any discussion on going to executive? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, where are we